Hi everyone, so I'm just going to show you the Painterly Pets Actions collection in use. These images, both of these images are from the lovely Cheryl at Vanity Fair. So she's kindly allowed me to use these images to show you the actions in use. So we'll start at the top. We've got instructions for each part of the collection. So if you just click, it will show you the instructions, and then you'll see that there's 1 and 2. So we'll start at the top. We've got darker base. So don't forget that you can use your opacity slider. You can mask off where needed. Let's put that back up to 100. So you can create that beautiful spotlight. If you've got a lighter image, you might want to leave it all over the image. We'll just leave it on. Then we've got soft base light. So this will lift the shadows really nice and softly, but it'll keep all the detail in your pet. If you see, you can still see all the detail. There's still nice clarity there. It doesn't wash away the details at all. Then we have see it all. So this will just lift it even more. You might want to use this instead of this. You can use all 3 at once. Like, just play around and see what works best for you. You can invert the layer mask and mask on just where you need it. And just really play around with these actions for how they'll suit you best. We've got 2 warmer tones actions. So this is the first one. This will give this image like an orangey colour. There you go, yeah. But then this one, it would work much better with. So, excuse me. You've got to think, when you're photographing a pet, it's really important to try and keep the colour of the pet, and these actions are really good at that. So we've warmed the background up there and kept the colour of the pet. I'm going to mask off a little bit of the bottom and then add a texture in there. That would be beautiful. Okay, let's turn that off, and we've got warmer tones too. You can see this one would be much better suited, you can tell. So you still get that little bit of a colour tone in with the dog, rather than just leaving it off completely. You can absolutely mask them off. I'm just going to show you, but you can see it. The dog won't necessarily look the right colour if you do that. So because it's so different from the background, so it is nice just to have that little bit over the pet, which is why it does do that. Okay. Then we have cooler tones, so let's turn that off. You can absolutely use the cooler tones with the warmer tones, play around and see what looks good, or you can just play it on its own. We have 2 versions of this, so this is the first one, and then this is the second one. So you can see, if I played those together, so let's play this one, and then we'll play cooler tones 2 maybe. You'll see that you start just getting the different tones. So it's just playing around with what works best for your image. We've got Fine Art Touch Warmer. So this will give like a fine art touch, but it's the warmer side. So I'm going to play that. And again, if you need to mask any off, then I'd suggest doing that at a lower opacity, so around 40%, and just build. Love that one. Then we have Fine Art Touch Cooler. Let that play. The actions are doing quite a lot because, as I said, they're working on the background and separating those subjects from the background as well. So that's cooler. And then again, play around with your opacity slider, figure out what works best for you. Okay, then we've got auto pet adjustments. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit for this one. So we have got the instructions here, don't forget. We've got Painterly Pop. So this is just going to work on your subject. Photoshop doesn't always completely get it bob on perfect, but there is a layer mask there, so you can adjust anything as required. But just turning that off and on, if you look at the fur, it gives that nice painterly pop. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. We've got Smooth Painterly Pop. So you can see already without even zooming in, that's much smoother. And again, you can play with the opacity slider. We've got no fur or all silk, so if there was a short-haired dog or a cat maybe, that would work great. We've got Brighten Pop, so that will brighten just the pet, and then you can obviously use your opacity slider to adjust. And these actions just make it so much easier, like there's no masking, or there's very little masking, should I say. But it just makes it so much easier for you. Let's go over here and we'll do Soft Shadow Pop. So you can see just really softly it lifts those shadows. Photoshop is selecting the chair as well, which is great. And also, if you wanted it a little bit stronger, just play it again. So anything that's already set at 100%, if you wanted a little bit stronger, just replay the action. If you then wanted to mask off somewhere, you can absolutely do that and just leave it where you need. Okay, then we've got Rich Pop, so I'm going to click that. I'll turn that off and on so you can see, and it just gives that really rich bit of a pop. There we go, you can see. Then we have That's Some Serious Glow, so this is going to look really glowy on this image, but it's just to bring that glow. You can absolutely turn that down, play around with the opacity there. Then we've got Glowy Pop, so it's kind of like the top one but a little bit more subtle. Then we have Sharp Pop, so that will sharpen. So once you've played all your actions, and then you can just sharpen the pooch then, and then obviously use the opacity slider. Okay, then we have Paint on Pet Adjustments. So let's say you needed to adjust something here, or you didn't want to use the auto one and you wanted to paint it somewhere else, so you wanted to paint it on here, then you can use Painterly Feels mask on. Like everything here is mask on. So we've got Painterly Feels, so I'll just mask some of that on. I'll zoom in so you can see. Turn that off and on. Then we have Smooth Painterly Feels mask on. So it's basically the top auto ones, but you're just masking them on, so you can see there. Then we have Paint on Light, See the Details. So I'll click See the Details so you can see, and it's basically like the shadow pop, so it'll just lift those shadows. Tone down the colour, so if it's gone a little bit too warm, you can tone down the colour. Dodge and Burn, Paint on Glow, and then we have these finishing adjustments. Let me just take some of that brightness away. Okay, so we have In the Spotlight, so I'm going to click that so you can see that the pet is now in the spotlight. If you wanted to soften that, you can reduce your opacity on your brush to about 40% and just mask around your subject, and that just softens it a little bit. We've got Soft Finish. So if I use a lower opacity brush, you can see I can just mask some of that off and just bring back that glow. Then we have A Little Bit Vintage. I'm going to get through these now. We have Cool Blues. And let's turn that off. Super Soft, so it just softens the whole look. Simple Matte, Dark Matte, Warm Matte, Cool Matte. Portrait Pet, I'm just playing all of them at this point. And then Flatten. which is really helpful. So portrait pet. For this one, you take your brush, black brush at 100% opacity, and mask down the centre of the pet. 50% opacity brush, make that nice and big, and just mask around. And turn it off and on. Okay, so I hope this helps. There are a lot of actions for you there to make sure that you get the perfect pet portrait, which I'm sure you absolutely will, and I hope you love it as much as I do. Take care, everyone. Bye.